What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I give you guys one last Edison format Harpie deck profile for you. And it's strictly just embracing the wind. Edison format, as many of you know, was definitely one of the most prestiged Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and OCG formats of its time. And I did not want to leave out um, any Harpie builds. I know I have to redo my last one because of course people I completely forgot what Electro the Sovereign Birds was not in the TCG at that time. It was a whole year later. Oops, my bad. So I said, okay, well, let's give Edison one more go before we just close the chapter on it, because really isn't much I want to visit with Edison format. I think I've said it like countless times. If I wanted to visit Edison, there's maybe a few other archetypes that I still want to visit from Edison, but Harpie isn't one because Harpie was not as strong as I would like Harpie to be during Edison. Especially because if we incorporate some but not all of the monsters that Harpie's got over the years, there would be a couple I would change, but there will also be a couple I would say add to the pool to make things a little more cohesive. Especially considering how, some cards ended up coming out. So, with this version of it, it's strictly just Harpie and win cards and really just embracing that a bit as well. And of course, in the comment section, I'll leave some more information as well for you guys just to talk about other cards that can be added to this. So, let's go ahead. Let's go into this deck profile. I'm going to start off with my monster lineup. I'm running 3 copies of Harpie Queen, and she's followed up by 3 copies of Harpie Lady 1, 2 copies of Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon, and then 1 copy of Harpie Lady Sisters. From there, I am running 3 copies of Miss Valley Soldier, a copy of Miss Valley Shaman, 3 copies of Flying Kamakiri #1, 1 Sylphid, 1 Garuda, 1 Ryza, and 1 Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind. So that's it for all the monsters. I'm going to move over into the spells. Okay. So for the spell cards, triple Elegant Inquisitive, 2 Harpie's Hunting Ground, 2 Swallow's Nest, Mind Control, Heavy, True Name, MST, and Book of Moon. And then for the trap cards, which, to be fair, most of this has not changed. So, 2 Hysteric Party, 2 Icarus Attack, Compulse, Torrential, Mirror, and Bottomless, as you can see here. So that's pretty much it for the main deck. That's a total of 40. Then for the extra deck, which that hasn't really changed either, just put that out there. Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, Ally Justice Catastor, Bryonic, the Dragon of the Ice Barrier, Brionac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, my Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth, Goyo Guardian, Flameboy Yerquazes, Blackwing Armwing, Blackwing Armor Master, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Thought Ruler Archfiend, Colossal Fighter, Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, and Miss Worm. So that rounds out basically everything in this deck for its longevity. So let's talk about wind-based Harpie Lady. Now, this is where we start including our wind tuners. Now, I don't have multiple versions of my Miss Valley Shaman, which sucks, but Miss Valley Shaman and Miss Valley Soldier were the primary wind attributed winged beast tuner monsters, both specializing in one being level 4 and the other being a level 3. The whole ceramics at that time was, yes, Miss Valley cards were coming into the fray thanks to Hidden Arsenal 1. But there were only 3 Hidden Arsenal monsters for Miss Valley at that time. Miss Valley Thunderbird, Miss Valley Shaman, and Miss Valley Soldier were the ones that came out at that time. And it's a crazy thing too, because I'll say this. I love Miss Valley, and it's sad watching all the new support for Hidden Arsenal cards come out, and Miss Valley still has not gotten anything. I don't know if it's just a story situation, which is funny because most of the Miss Valley monsters have appeared in Ice Barrier, so we at least know where some of them went. But the overall gimmicks and setups now probably are a lot different because they heavily relied on not one but two different field spells. Their boss monster was basically used an entire different deck that fed its entire archetype, and even then so, with the plethora of tuners that the archetype had, it really didn't make things balance out, which sucks. But the great thing about it was that yes, Wind had tuners, and when Winged Beast monsters had tuners. Wind did have a few tuners. They weren't good. I think was it Nitro Synchron to make Nitro Warrior, but even in that kind of just presses itself there. Um, but no, Soldier. I think Soldier for the most part definitely stayed in my later builds of Harpie because of its ability to bounce back cards that it evolved itself into battle with and they weren't destroyed, and then returning those cards to the hand. So stuff like Marshmallow and Spirit Reaper definitely felt um, the presence of being removed thanks to Soldier. It didn't destroy them, which would have been nice, but Soldier's effect doesn't target. It just basically just returns whatever monster that it battled with back into the hand if they weren't both destroyed by the battle. Miss Alley Shaman can just return any wind monster, any other monster on your field back into the hand to give herself the 500 additional attack points, which really doesn't do much. It's just there to give her 500. If there was a level increase, maybe like increase your level by one, or select a wind monster or a wind windies and get an additional level and 500 points, it'd be fine. But yeah, not really much there. From that, of course, we need to talk about just the Harpie ladies themselves. So Harpie Queen, Harpie Lady 1, Harpie's Pet Baby Dragon, and Harpie Lady Sisters. I could have easily ran a second Sisters, but you don't want to break into the Sisters as, like I said, at this time, there weren't a lot of really big options for Harpie in terms of utility. These were probably most of what people ran. You ran the three variations of the monsters are always shares Harpie Lady. You ran Harpie Queen, the Baby Dragon, just the pop stuff, and then the Sisters as just another target for Ellie and Aegis. At most points, you're probably not even going to run Harpie Lady Sisters because Sisters would just be a dead draw. Even advice. I've seen some decks not even run the Ellie and Aegis engine. They just ran Harpie Queen, Harpie Lady 1, or they ran Cyber Harpie Lady just to fit in. And then the Baby Dragons and stuff came in later just to blow up things if need be. And it was always good fodder for like other cards as well that I'll talk about in the deck. But yeah, that is the Harpies. And then for the lineup of things, we do have the Flying Kamakiri #1 to recruit our low-stated wind monsters, like the Baby Dragon, the Harpie Lady 1, the Miss Valley Shaman, and even copies of itself. Sylphie and Garuda. I know people are going to ask me about this. Well, if you have the extra wind monsters in the grave, you can go ahead and banish them to then play Garuda or Sylphie, who can easily act as additional tributes for it. I will say this, I kind of was more so on the Garuda situation than the Sylphie. Sylphie I know can mess with the hand, but Garuda is an easy target, so Swallow's Nest. And you can swap out Garuda to play a Winged Beast on command. Then there is Ryza the Storm Monarch, and I wanted to add Ryza. It's just another option of cards. You can banish a wind monster, summon Garuda or Sylphie, and then tribute the Ryza on top of them to spin a card onto the board. Phoenix Wind Blast is still a good option as well. And then Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind, just so I had another option of a tuner. And Gale works really well with Harpie because it's just an easy float into Armor Master or Arm Wing. Especially with like stuff like Mind Control and Brain Control. Brain Control shoutouts too, because I don't know where my Brain Control is. I'm trying to figure out where I put it, but I have them. I do have brain control. Elegant Egotists, as we go into the spells, to just speed up the process of my Harpie Lady summons, and then running the sisters as an additional target. Hunting Ground to boost my winged beast by 200 attack and defense. But when Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady sisters are on special summon, since whoever conducts the summon of the summon of those monsters, you can then destroy a spell trap on the field, and this comes really handy with the massive amounts of back row. From there are the Swallow's Nest to tag in or out your Harpies with other winged beasts, or to tap out some of your winged beasts to then tap in with the Harpie Ladies to blow it back or with the Hunting Grounds ability. From there are just the staples of Mind Control to take your opponent's monster to do what you want with it. Brain Control is the other option. Heavy Storm for back row removal. Giant Tree Nade for back row removal. NST for back row removal. The Book of Moon just to play around against your opponent. If they summon someone that is a tuner or non-tuner, you can just book the card face down and then interrupt the process of going into the synchro summon. The traps are just Hysteric Party to just get a massive swarm onto the board. Then Icarus Attack for all these winged beasts in the deck. And from there are just Compulse, Torrential, Bottomless, and Mirror Force. I wanted some easier outs as well to my opponent's cards. And I think these definitely do help with that. Solemn was, I believe, still around. Solemn. Oh, was Solemn definitely still around? I think it was. I think it was at 1 because of how broken it became in earlier years. And then from that, there's like deep prisons and Sakus and stuff like that you can use as well. But yeah, this is basically just the lineup of things there for the main deck. For the extra deck, which is just pretty simple itself, to deal with machines, you always rock out with a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon with Cyber Dragons in the side. The Allied Justice Cataster, just to deal with non-dark monsters, and Mind Control your brain into a low level, and you use the tuners to help you synchro into it. Or even get a level, I don't think there's too many level 1 tuners at that point in time, though. So I was going to say maybe brain or mind into a low level. Or a level 1. Bryo to bounce cards back onto the field. This is the reprinted Bryonac with the errata, just like the same thing with this Goyo Guardian. Both of them are errata, so you don't have the original effects, but the original effects were why they were so broken and had things changed. Goyo just needed any tuner plus non-tuner, and then whenever he destroyed an opponent's monster by battle and sent it to the grave, you can special summon that monster to your side of the field. Bryo can discard any number of cards from your hand to the grave to then select that mean number of cards on the field and return them to the hand. And since Bryonac's effect wasn't what's returned, if you had enough cards in your hand, you can just go one by one and bounce things that you would think were attacked. Then, the most generic of the level 6s, Flammable Uriclases and Gaia the Force of Earth, just as fill-ins. From there, we have the 2 Blackwing Synchro monsters, Blackwing Armwing and Blackwing Armor Master. These are, of course, 2 very popular cards, and because I am using a Blackwing tuner, I wanted to have them in the extra deck just for the additional support. Blackwing Armwing can do piercing battle damage, and I believe also gains does he gain any attack? Yeah, 500 attack when attacking that monster in defense position. And Armor Master can be destroyed by battle, and he gets wedge tokens, which he can make remove the wedge token to make the opponent's attack defense of that monster 0. So works really well in tangent there. Ancient Fairy, Black Rose Dragon as your 7s. 1 nukes the field, 1 helps you with field spells, and then additional summons. Your level 8s, which is primarily what your bigger targets can be. Thought Ruler for life gain, and then being able to pay 1,000 to negate cards of the target psychics. Colossal Fighter just to be a big beat stick. Stardust for protection. The Red Dragon Archfiend as another beat stick. And then Mistworm just to bounce things onto the field. Mistworm is probably going to be the trickiest of them because you need a particular number of cards in order to do the summon. So most people try to play around with their numbers and ratios to try to help summon the Mistworm. The Mistworm is not that bad. Level 9 that can bounce any number of cards on the field when you synchro summon. So, yeah. that is pretty much it, guys, for this little visit through, you know, retro deck profiles and Edison format for the Harpies. I have other videos and stuff that will hopefully come up, but right now we're just waiting on TCG's Forbidden Limited list to be unveiled. Once I get that information, I'll start working on decks. I do have some ideas. I really hate that I have to wait for a Forbidden Limited list to really try to execute them, for many obvious reasons. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more of my content to the channel. Socials are in the description box below. And with that said, HBJ signing out. Take care.